Jackson had an absolute, total, and thorough inability to sleep.
I'm here to get justice for Michael Jackson.
Your Honor, I'm an innocent man.
He was not an anesthesiologist. He was not board certified in cardiology. Conrad Murray was not board certified in any medical specialty. Michael Jackson's death was a homicide.
Do you know any details as to why he was doing that?
No, sir.
Were you aware of, or did you personally see oxygen tanks being moved around the premises or into the security trailer?
Yes, sir.
What did you personally see in regard to these oxygen tanks?
I seen the oxygen tanks in the trailer. I seen Dr. Murray bring the oxygen tanks. I just was seeing them being moved in and out, basically.
Okay, by Dr. Murray?
Dr. Murray, sometimes he would bring them to the back door, and the security would just bring them into the guards that were on duty, that were always present. They kind of knew the routine better than myself because they were always there when he would do it. But I would see him maybe bring them to the back door, and they carried them inside the trailer.
Okay. And this was during the time that Dr. Murray was regularly at the home?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I want to take you directly to June 24th, 2009. Were you involved
second day trial
in arranging and transporting Mr. Jackson to the Staples Center for his last rehearsal?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall what time you left to go to the Staples Center?
Around 7 o'clock, sir.
In the p.m.?
PM. Yes, sir.
Were you typically the driver on these types of outings?
Yes, sir.
Were you the driver that night?
Yes, sir.
And who traveled with you?
Myself, Michael Amir, and Mr. Jackson.
And when you arrived at the location at Staples Center, what occurred when you first got there?
Our normal routine, we rolled up, we came in down low. Our advance team met us with golf carts. It was a long walk from where we were parked to Mr. Jackson's private room. So they met us with golf carts. We loaded up on the carts and we moved out to his room.
Okay. So you would come into the sub-training area of the Staples Center?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And someone from the advance team would meet you in a golf cart?
Yes, sir.
Would that typically be Alberto Alvarez?
Yes, okay.
And then through basically the sub-training tunnels of the Staples Center, they would take him in a golf cart to his own personal dressing room?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what happened that night?
Yes, sir.
Now, after Mr. Jackson was taken to prepare for rehearsals, what did you do?
We would normally set up a slight perimeter on the inside. So they had a couple different emergency exits and doors that weren't all the way covered that we would sit guys in the perimeter of. And then we also had our own room that we would go to. And we had our own treats, snacks, just different things, television. So I would usually set up the security, set up a rotation, and then I would take a break for a while and then come back in and relieve the other security.
Okay. And is that what you did that night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On that night, June 24th, 2009, were you able to observe any of the rehearsals?
Yes, sir, I did.
And from where were you able to observe the rehearsals?
A couple of different locations, in the stands, on the floor. And it was actually a monitor that we could see the stage from in a different part. So about 3 different places I observed Mr. Jackson's performance.
Okay. And how would you describe the performance that night?
It was excellent. It was high energy. He looked pretty good.
Okay. Now, following, do you know what time you prepared to transport Mr. Jackson home that evening?
Yes, sir. It was around midnight.
Okay. And was it the same routine that you described?
Yes, sir, it was. The advance team would leave and, give us a clear route, and we would take the same route that they took back to the house.
Okay. And you drove?
Yes, sir.
And were you accompanied by Mr. Williams and
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Jackson?
Yes, sir.
At some point, either before leaving Staples Center or maybe en route, was a call made to Conrad Murray in your presence to make sure he was at the home?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know who made that call?
Michael Lemire did.
Now, what happened when you got back to Michael's house at 100 North Carrollwood?
When we arrived back, there were fans. The fans, they would normally beat us there. So we pulled to the gate, and he asked us to stop so that he can take some time to speak with his fans. So he spoke with his fans for maybe 60 seconds. As the gate opened, you can see the same vehicle parked in the same fashion.
Now, you just pointed to People's 11. You're referring to Conrad
Yes, sir.
Murray's car?
Yes, sir. Well, as the gate opens, what you're looking at is a direct shot of the gate opening. So when the gate opens, that's what you see. So we see Dr. Murray's car there, and then we went ahead to pull around and park at the front door.
Okay. And you said he told us to stop to talk to the fans. Were you talking to Mr. Jackson?
Mr. Jackson, yes, sir.
Okay. And you arrived around approximately 1 o'clock a.m.?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do then upon pulling in onto the actual property, the area shown in People's 11?
Well, the fans, they normally would give them gifts, letters, various items. So we would take the gifts from the car. Michael Lemire would get his door, and I would usually gather all the gifts along. If there was too much, other security would help out. And we would take the gifts and place them at his steps. And he would greet us before he went upstairs, good night, or whatever he would say. And then we would see each other off from there.
Okay. And is that what happened that night?
Yes, sir.
So things were carried into the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We carried the gifts into the house.
And left at the base of the stairs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then greeted each other good night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what'd you do?
And then we had a security debriefing for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. And then those of us that were relieved, we relieved ourselves and we went on home.
Okay. And were you relieved? Were you at the end of your duty at that
Yes,
time?
sir. I
Okay.
was.
You went home?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the next day then, June 25th, 2009, did you return to 100 North Carrollwood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And about what time did you return?
About 11:45.
And what'd you do when you got there?
Same routine. When I got there that day, I came in the gate, checked on the guard that was facing the gate, went around, checked with the guards in the security trailer, just asked basic questions of any activities going on. And at that time, I left after that.
Okay.
AM or PM?
AM. Yes, sir.
And you said you left after that, you left the property?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so this is around noon then?
Close to noon. Yes, sir.
Okay. And why did you leave the property?
I had to make a run to the bank. So,
And did you drove?
yes, sir.
Okay. And then while driving to the bank, did you receive a telephone call?
Yes, I did.
And from whom?
From Michael Lemire.
Okay. And what did he say?
He said MJ had a bad reaction, or maybe he said MJ had a bad reaction, and he said MJ had a bad reaction, go upstairs. And I told him that I wasn't at the house. I had just made a run to the bank. And he said, okay, well, hurry up and get back and go upstairs.
Okay. And would you, security personnel and others, sometimes refer to Mr. Jackson as MJ?
Yes, sir.
So you told Mr. Williams you're on your way to the bank. Did you indicate that you'd turn around and go back to the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the summary of phone records of Fahim Muhammad? It has been shown to defense counsel. May this be marked People's next in order. I believe it's People's 18.
It is.
And Mr. Muhammad, before testifying here today, did you have a chance to look at your phone records?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you have a chance to compare your phone records to this summary that was marked People's 18? ask you first about the phone call you received. Actually, let me make a correction here. Have 1 moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
It was 45 minutes. Because I was gone for longer than
I changed the
45
AM
minutes.
to PM. Let me show you this again. The first call, 12:16 p.m. Do you see that call, Mr. Muhammad?
Yes.
And it's from Michael Amir, from Mr. Williams to you for 29 seconds. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the phone call you just referenced where Mr. Williams asked you to go upstairs and you indicated you were going to the bank?
Yes.
You indicated you were going to return home and return back to Carrollwood?
Yes.
Okay. The next call at 12:18 p.m., it's you calling Derek Cleveland. Is he another security guard?
Yes.
Or a member of the security team?
Yes.
Okay. And why were you calling him? Do you recall?
Yes. After Michael called me and said it was I should rush upstairs, and since I wasn't there, I wanted to call someone else to do that. So I called Derek and I asked him to rush upstairs and tell him that I was on my way back. I'd be there shortly.
Well, did you got a hold of Derek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I get a hold of Derek? Yes, sir. I believe I did.
Was it a voicemail or?
Yeah, I believe. I don't recall actually. I don't recall if I actually spoke to him, honestly.
Okay. Could it have been a voicemail?
Yes, sir.
And then when you drove back to the house.
Right.
Okay. Did you pull back onto the property?
No, I didn't pull back onto the property. I pulled up to the gate, and it was a pin code. I just typed in the pin code and went inside. I walked inside.
Okay. And did you go in? So you walked in onto the property.
Yes.
And then did you call Mr. Williams at that time at 12:23 p.m.?
Yes, I did. As I said, we don't normally go upstairs at his house. So when I got back to the property, I started to just walk in the house, but that was so not part of our routine that I said, let me double check. So I called Michael Amir back, and I just double checked with him and said, are you sure you want me to go in and go upstairs? He said, yes, go inside, go upstairs, see what's going on.
Okay. And that's reflected here in the 12:23 p.m. phone call from Fahim Muhammad to Michael Amir Williams lasting 11 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's a number, let me ask you, after you got the approval that yes, go upstairs, did you do so, enter the house and go upstairs?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's a number of, a couple phone calls at 12:26 and 12:27 where Michael Amir is calling you and showing 0 seconds each. I assume those were calls that you did not answer?
Yes.
Okay. And then later at 12:35, a call from Michael Amir Williams for a minute 36 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you then, after the 12:23 phone call, you then enter the house. What did you do? Did you go upstairs?
Yes, I went home immediately. I went upstairs and threw a landing into his bedroom.
When you say into his bedroom, which room as you go upstairs?
If you travel up the stairs, there's a room to your left, and then there's a room to your right. I went to the room on the right.
I have a series of exhibits here I'd like to mark, Your Honor. These have all previously been shown to defense counsel.
I'm sorry, repeat, please.
I'm sorry, these have all previously been shown to defense counsel. There's a diagram of the second floor of the residence made out to mark Peoples 19.
Just do them in order, and I'll mark them at the end.
Okay. You want a description of each one, Your Honor?
Please.
Top of the stairs looking out onto the upper floor landing area, Peoples 20. A view into the bedroom, Peoples 21. close-up view of the bed and the nightstand area, People's 22. And a view of the side of the bed, nightstand area, and chair depicting an ambu bag on the floor, People's 23.
Tw- 19 through 23 respectively.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Mr. Muhammad, can you see the diagram from where you're seated?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see where I'm pointing to the left, lower left of the diagram, representing the stairs that come up onto the second floor landing area? Do you recognize that area?
Yes.
Okay. And as you would come up this landing area onto the second floor, immediately to your left are doors going into a bedroom. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what room was that, if you know?
That was actually his bedroom where he where all of his belongings were at.
Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson's, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as you come up onto the landing then, if you don't go left, but rather you veer more to the right and go forward into what's marked foyer, second floor bedroom number 2, is that the bedroom that you proceeded into?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And looking then at People's 20, does this represent again the topmost section of the stairs coming up onto the landing and showing the doors into the foyer area of the room that you entered?
Yes.
All right. People's 21, can you describe what is shown there?
That is the room that I walked into where I seen Mr. Jackson laying dead at.
Okay. And let me ask you, when you first came then into the foyer area, you would turn right to have the vantage point we see in People's 21, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then People's 22 would be the same view, same vantage point, but more upon actually entering the room. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you came in up through the foyer and into the room, showing the bed here, the nightstands on the opposing side, what did you see when you first came in?
When I came into the room, I saw Alberto standing up, pacing. I saw Mr. Jackson's feet near the side of the bed on the ground. And as I continued to walk over, I could see the rest of his body. And I saw Dr. Murray near his side.
Okay. And you have a pointer there. If you can point on People's 22 where it was that you saw Michael Jackson.
You can't, the way the picture is, you can't see. I can show you, this is where his feet would be. His body was like this.
On the bed or on the floor?
On the floor.
Okay, let me give you another photograph.
Okay.
But for the record, you've indicated, so as you come into the room and look into the room, you saw Michael Jackson's feet on what would be the far side of the bed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they're extending out onto the floor area from your vantage point at the foot of the bed.
Yes.
Okay. But on the floor.
On the floor.
Okay. And showing you People's 23 then, does that show that far side of the bed and the general floor area?
Yes.
Okay. And does this depict generally where Michael Jackson's body was?
Yes.
Okay. So again, when you first came in and you saw Mr. Jackson's feet, where was Dr. Murray?
Dr. Dr. Murray was to his right on the opposite side of him, near the far side of the bed on the other side.
Okay. And can you point, looking at People's 22, can you point just to the general area?
Right around here.
Okay. And switch. Yes. On People's 22, you pointed to the nightstand area on the far side of the bed?
Yes.
Okay. Which is again reflected on People's 22, you pointed to the nightstand area on the far side of the bed?
Yes.
Okay. Which is again reflected in People's 23. Would that be this nightstand that I'm pointing at here directly next to the bed on the far side of the bed?
Yes.
Okay. Did Alberto Alvarez say anything to you when you first came into the room?
Yes. I said something to him. I asked him, how's it looking? How's it going? And he said, it's not looking good. And then I proceeded to go and look at Mr. Jackson.
Okay. And then when you came around, well, let me ask you, did you come around then to this far side of the bed that you've described?
Yes.
Okay. And when you came around to the far side of the bed, what was Conrad Murray doing?
He appeared to be administering CPR. He appeared very nervous. He was on his side. He was sweating. He appeared to be administering CPR.
Okay. And at that time, did you see Michael Jackson's face and his full body?
Yes.
And what did you observe about his face at that time?
That his eyes were open and that his mouth was slightly open.
Okay. Did he appear to be dead?
Yes.
At that point, did you observe any medical equipment, any type of monitoring equipment, heart monitors, anything of that nature hooked up to Mr. Jackson?
No, sir.
As you came around then and saw Dr. Murray to Michael's side, what did you do? Or what happened next?
Immediately was shocked just seeing him. Shortly after that, I realized that his children were standing outside of his room, of course in a panic state as well. But not all three, just the two older ones, Paris and Prince. So after that, I went and gathered his children, got the nanny, and got them into a more secure location where they couldn't see kind of what was going on.
Okay. Looking again at People's 19, and just to orient everyone to People's 19, when you described the nightstands and the far side of the bed, on People's 19, is this area I'm pointing to, which as you come in the foyer would be the far side of the bed, near the head of the bed?
Yes.
Okay. And again, just to orient to the diagram, when you first saw Michael Jackson laying on the floor, appearing dead, you said his feet, would they be roughly on this diagram where the 2 is for second floor bedroom number 2?
Yes.
Okay. So as you came around then to this far side and saw Michael on the floor and Conrad Murray to his side, where were Prince and Paris when you first observed them?
They were in this area right here. They weren't quite inside of the room. They were right in this landing area.
Okay. So what drew your attention to them? Could you hear them?
Yes. Paris was on the ground, balled up, crying, and Prince was standing there, and he just had a real shock, just slowly crying type of look on his face.
So Paris was actually on the floor?
Yes.
You said balled up, crying?
Yes.
And what did you do then? And so as you hear them and you come out and see them in this condition, what did you do?
I went and gathered them together and kind of talked to them for a second, got the nanny's attention from the stairway, got her to come up, and we walked them downstairs and put them in a different location.
Now, at some point, either prior to that or thereabout, had Conrad Murray asked you and Alberto Alvarez if you knew CPR?
Yes.
Okay. And in response to that, did one of you go over to Michael Jackson?
Yes, Alberto did.
Okay. And did you see Alberto go over and assist Dr. Murray with CPR?
Yes.
Was that before you went out to move Paris and Prince?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, yes it was. It was when I initially entered the room and I spoke with Alberto. I saw Mr. Jackson's body and I came back and I was speaking with Alberto. This all had to be within a matter of 60 seconds. Shortly, Dr. Murray asked the question, does anyone know CPR?
Okay. And then that's when Alberto went over to assist?
Yes.
And then following that is when you heard the children, or at least Paris, crying, and you went?
Yes.
Okay. And you went to move them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you actually take them all the way downstairs? Did you ask the nanny to come get them? What did you do?
No, when the nanny came up, I actually walked down the stairs with him.
With the two children?
Yes.
And did you then go back upstairs?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went back upstairs, if you recall, what was taking place? Or was it the same?
It was the same thing. Alberto was no longer assisting with the CPR though. Dr. Murray was just by himself at that point, and Alberto was back in the same position, just standing up, kind of pacing around, which is all waiting for the ambulance.
Okay. And actually, when you had come in, had you asked Alberto if 911 had been called?
Yes, that was the first question I asked.
And did he tell you that 911 had been called?
Yes, he did.
Okay. That was the first question you asked?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you have reason to leave the room again then to get the vehicles ready or things of that nature?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. What did you do in that regard?
After I came back up and I realized that after I came back up, Alberto was pacing around, Dr. Murray was on the ground trying to do what he was trying to do. I realized that it's a possibility that the ambulance could take some time. So I went back downstairs, I got the securities that were on guard, and I had them line the vehicles up, just in case. We might have to take them ourselves.
Okay. And then shortly thereafter, did the paramedics arrive?
Yes,
Okay. And who escorted them up into the room?
I did.
And were you in the room as the paramedics attempted to revive Mr. Jackson, or were you in and out, or just please describe your activities during that time after the paramedics arrived?
For a majority of the time after the paramedics arrived, I was in the room. I can only recall leaving the room once, and that was twice, actually. And that was to put the children in the car once so that when they brought their father out of the gurney or however they brought him out, so that they wouldn't have to see his body. And the second time was to just alert the security that he would possibly be coming out soon, and we got to just keep our guard up for the paparazzi because they were already climbing in the trees just trying to get different shots.
Okay. Now, do you know what an IV stand is?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see an IV stand in the room when you came in? Or at some point while you were up in the room?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall where it was in the room when you came up?
No, sir.
Okay. Other than the IV stand, did you notice any other medical type equipment?
No, sir.
Now, at some point, did you observe Mr. Jackson being brought down on a gurney by the paramedics?
Yes.
Okay. And where were you when that happened?
I was already downstairs. On that last trip downstairs to alert the other guards about him possibly coming down soon, that was when they actually began to bring him down.
Okay. So you were already downstairs and saw him coming down the stairs?
Yes.
And where were the children at that point?
In the vehicle.
And did you see Mr. Jackson being loaded into the paramedics' vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And you were downstairs still?
Yes.
Outside?
Yes.
What happened then?
Dr. Murray hopped in the paramedics' car with the paramedics with Mr. Jackson, and we all hopped in our vehicles and traveled him to the hospital.
Okay. And so you followed behind the paramedic vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And did you follow them to UCLA?
Yes.
And what did you personally do immediately upon arriving at UCLA?
First, as we arrived, the paparazzi were trying to swarm the paramedics. So the first thing we did was shielded his body. We took off our jackets, shielded them so that they couldn't get too many pictures of him going inside. Then we shielded his children with our jackets and helped carry them inside. And once everything was inside, I contacted the head security, or I believe it was a police officer for the UCLA hospital. And I made contact with him. I let him know who was with us, who wasn't with us, and the type of paparazzi and people that he would be getting. People saying they were related to him, people saying all these things, and that cleared through us before you let any of them anywhere around this whole situation.
Okay. And so the children, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, were they put into a room?
Yes, sir, they were.
Okay.
Yes.
And then at this point, then, did you see Michael being taken into the emergency room?
Yes, immediately he was taken to the emergency room.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then the children were put in a room?
Yes.
Okay. And you described the security arrangements, at least at that point.
Yes.
At that point in time, then, what were you doing?
Well, there was a lot going on with his family arriving and, people trying to sneak in. So I was back and forth between checking on him and what was going on and checking with the security and making sure his family was able to get in and making sure different people that were arriving that were supposed to be there were able to get in.
Okay. Were you at UCLA at the hospital when you learned that Michael Jackson had been pronounced dead?
Yes.
At some point after learning that Mr. Jackson had been pronounced dead, did Michael Amir Williams relay to you a request of Conrad Murray?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
That he needed to go back to the house and that there was a creed that Mr. Jackson wouldn't want the world to know about that he needed to get.
And did you reach an agreement with Michael Amir Williams as to what the response should be to Dr. Murray?
Yes.
What was that?
That he shouldn't enter the house under any circumstances.
Do you remember coming up with a story about the police taking your keys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was that discussed with Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williams, he came up with that story to make sure the police, tell Dr. Murray that the police took our keys. That way, it wouldn't even be any chance of him trying to say anything else. That way, it would just completely end that us taking him anywhere.
Okay.
Mr. Walker, you let me know when it's convenient to take the mid-afternoon break.
This is fine, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take the mid-afternoon break. Please remember all of the admonitions and orders. You may take the break in the jury room. It'll be about approximately 15 minutes. Thank you.
They're going on a break.
What was your normal shift?
I normally would come in about 11, and that would fluctuate upon his movement. If he didn't leave the house or if he was staying home, I would leave about 7 o'clock. But if he was planning on traveling or doing some traveling, and then I was there until he left.
And when you say traveling, you mean running errands, going to visit people, shopping, for instance? One of the things that you did was to accompany him wherever he went.
Yes.
Were you primarily responsible for that, or did people take turns?
No, I was primarily responsible for that.
So you were, when he traveled, you were with him,
Yes.
and he trusted you.
Yes.
Do you recall taking Michael Jackson to visit Dr. Arnold Klein
Yes.
on many occasions?
Yes.
When you took him to visit Dr. Arnold Klein, did he oftentimes leave the office looking a little...
Day 2 trial, continuation.
May I have a second, Judge? You spoke to detectives on 2 different occasions, right? Right, sir? You spoke to detectives on 2 different occasions. Yes. In fact, you spoke to Detective Myers on 1 occasion and Scott Smith. Yes. And you never did tell him about this situation with Cheryl and Lee, did you? You didn't tell him the whole story. Situation didn't come up. But you did tell the police officers on June 25th that you knew that Dr. Murray was trying to help Michael Jackson because he couldn't sleep. Yes. How did you know that? It's rumors. Would it be fair to say that everybody knew? Everybody knew that that's what Dr. Murray was doing. Isn't that right? I can't say it one way or another. I can say it for myself. Well, here you are, a new employee as of October 2009, right? Yes. And you knew... 2008. October 2009 or 2008. Thank you, Judge. 2008. Yes. And you knew, right? This is almost 10 months into the job, but yes. Did you talk to Michael Amir about it? No. No, sir. You never told him? We never really discussed that. No, sir. What about Alberto Alvarez? I don't recall speaking to him about that either. The house doesn't have any telephones in it, does it? The house? Doesn't have any landlines in it? I don't believe so, no, sir. And these paparazzi, they're pretty sneaky, aren't they? Yes, sir. They'll try all kinds of tricks to get inside the house to take pictures. Yes, sir. Because they sell them. Right. So you have to be careful not to let just anybody come through the gates. Yes. If a police officer came to the gate, you wouldn't automatically let him in. No. Ambulance came to the gate, you wouldn't automatically let him in. No. You were not, though, there at the Carrollwood residence when Michael Amir called you. No. I'm going to narrow it down. June 25th at somewhere around noon, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. You had gone to the bank, you said? Yes. How long had you been at Carrollwood? When did you first get to the Carrollwood house for your shift? Approximately a little after 11. And then you left for the bank when? A little after 12. Was it normal for you to leave in the middle of a security shift to run errands? Well, with my position, I wasn't house security. So the house security was already set up, and they protected and guarded the house. My job, I could leave for hours at a time if Mr. Jackson asked me to, or if I needed to, because I was the head of the security. I was mainly there for if we needed to go somewhere, he would call Michael, and I would set that up and we would begin to leave. But normally he gave us a little bit of an advance. Rarely to ever would he just pop up and want to leave. So I was able to fluctuate. If I needed to be there, I could be there. If I needed to go down the street, I could go down the street. It really wasn't an issue. Your comings and goings were not recorded anywhere? Yes, sir. There's cameras at the property. there are actually security cameras that are up at the front gate that show
Yes.
cars coming in and leaving.
Yes.
And there's actually security cameras that point to the doors, front door, back door.
Security cameras that point to the front gate.
What about cameras that are pointing to the front door?
Pointing to the front door. There might have been. I'm not sure, honestly.
On the evening of the 27th of June, 2009, the police asked you to help them take out some of the surveillance tapes from the gate.
Yes.
Recall that?
Yes.
And you worked with a technician from LAPD to download that surveillance tape. Is that right?
Yes.
Was there any specific request for a specific time on that surveillance tape?
I don't recall, sir. It was quite some time ago.
Was there anybody else besides you and this particular technician downloading the surveillance tape?
I don't remember, sir. Don't recall.
But whatever the LAPD would have gone away with would have been all that was available?
Not sure, sir.
Did you happen to see the amount of tape that was downloaded?
No,
Was
sir.
on the tape?
No, sir.
First thing you did when you arrived at the Carrollwood address was to go to the front door. Is that correct?
At which time are you speaking of?
Well, after you came back, when Michael Amir called you to go back to Carrollwood, you went back to Carrollwood.
Yes.
And you were how many minutes away?
A few minutes. 5 to 7.
And you immediately turned around.
Yes.
And you took the exact same route back to Carrollwood.
Yes.
And you went through the front gate,
Correct.
where the surveillance camera is,
Correct.
and you got out of your car. Did you get out of your car?
I was dropped off, as I said earlier. My wife was with me, so she dropped me at the front gate, and I entered, and that was when I approached the front door.
Why did you go to the front door?
Because I was in a rush, and if you look at the setup, it would take me a few more seconds to come through the back door.
Did Michael Amir tell you to go through the front door?
I don't recall him specifically directing me which door to go through.
That was a decision you made?
Yes.
And then you went upstairs.
Correct.
I don't recall you testifying to this. You said the total number of times you went up and down the stairs, but you did go up and down the stairs twice after the first time, right? Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. How many times did you go up and down the stairs?
Approximately 4 to 5.
Okay. And do you recall each reason you went up and down the stairs?
For the most part.
Well, can you tell us?
Yes. The first time, as I stated earlier, was dealing with his children to get them out of sight. The next time was to get the vehicles. Another time was to bring the ambulance up. Another time was to prep the security for when we had to leave.
How soon after you arrived did the paramedics show up?
It's hard to say.
Was it somewhere in that period of time you're going up and down the stairs?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Now, each time you went up and down the stairs, you went into the room.
Yes.
And you surveyed the whole area in the room, right?
Yes.
It was a shocking experience.
Definitely.
Michael Jackson was lying there. His eyes were wide open, right?
Yes.
But you don't remember what was on the IV stand?
No, sir.
Did you see any oxygen tanks?
Don't recall.
See any vials or needles or any medical paraphernalia at all?
Don't recall.
This is the second time you've testified.
Correct.
The first time you testified, did you recall then?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you recall when you talked to the police officers the second time?
No, sir. Not to my knowledge. Can I speak, sir?
I don't think so, unless there's a specific question. Okay. Thanks. You may. You left the hospital with Alberto Alvarez and Michael Amir Williams. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You drove together
Yes, sir.
in one car.
Yes, sir.
Was there anybody else in the car with you?
No, sir. Not that I can recall.
And when you left the hospital, what was your intention? Your intention to go back to Carrollwood at that time?
No, sir.
Where were you intending to go?
I don't recall.
How is it that were you driving?
No, sir. I don't believe so.
Who was driving?
Don't recall.
Would you know where you were sitting?
I believe sitting in the front seat.
Or who was next to you?
I don't recall.
Did you have a wheel in front of you in the front seat?
Sustained. Don't recall, sir.
You don't have to answer that.
Thank you.
Partial answer, disregard the last answer, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Do you happen to know where you were heading to when you left
No,
the
sir.
hospital?
I don't recall.
Do you happen to know how you wound up going to the Carrollwood residence?
Yes, sir, I do.
Oh, okay. How was that?
We received a call from the security at the Carrollwood residence that we left there, and they were saying that the detectives arrived and they would like to ask some questions. So we immediately headed back there that way.
So wherever you were heading, you immediately shifted to the Carrollwood residence.
Yes.
And all three of you, Alberto Alvarez, you, and Michael Amir Williams, went to the Carrollwood residence.
Yes.
And there at the Carrollwood residence, you spoke to the police officer.
Yes.
At that, strike that. At the Carrollwood residence, you had occasion to speak to Police Officer S. Abdul, Detective Abdul. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember where you were when you spoke to Detective Abdul?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where were you?
We were standing in front, slightly to the right of the front door.
Judge, can I have a second? I got to get a picture. Sure. Take the moment, please. Let me know. Thank you. How long did you stay at Carrollwood that evening?
Could have been an hour, maybe 30 minutes.
Maybe 30 minutes.
Yes, sir.
And that's when your wife came to pick you up?
No, sir.
What did you do then when you left?
The detective wanted to speak with the nanny, so we assisted them. Where I took him over to, I believe the children were at the Havenhurst address with the grandmother. So he wanted to speak. If I'm not mistaken, they were there. He wanted to speak with her, so we took him there, and he got a chance to interview the nanny.
Who's we?
Myself and the detective.
You went to Havenhurst.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, it could have been Haven. I don't recall the exact place that we went, but wherever the children were after their father passed away, we took it there because they were with the nanny, and he wanted to interview the nanny.
Was Alberto Alvarez there when you got there?
Not that I recall.
Did he show up there later?
I don't recall.
Do you know what detective you took to Havenhurst?
Yes, sir.
Who was it?
Abdul.
Abdul.
Yes, sir.
And you did see the children there.
Yes, sir.
So that was, wherever the children were, is where you took Abdul.
Yes, sir.
Need to mark these, Judge.
See, yes. Identified as. Let's see, it's a photograph. C is in Charlie. I approach the court board. Well, I think probably Mrs. Benson would be okay. She said there's Post-its. I can use Post-its. Yeah. Do you have more than one?
I have 3 photos.
Do you want them marked separately?
Yes, I do.
All right, Charlie Delta Echo. Thank you. Have the people seen it? Not yet, but I think.
Yes, these are photos we sent over to the center.
All right, thank you.
Let me, Mr. Muhammad, let me show you this photo was marked as Defense Exhibit D. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Kind of shiny.
You want us to turn that light?
Yeah, it's kind of shiny. Let me see your iPad.
Wait, we can turn off one of the banks. You recognize yourself in this photo?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is this C or D?
It's D.
All right. It's D as in Delta.
Yes, it's in Delta. You have a pointer?
Yes.
You want to show it to them?
Who are you talking with?
Detective Abdul.
Abdul.
Yes.
Who is this? You see Michael Amir Williams?
Yes.
Can you show us what he is? And who's in front of Michael Amir Williams?
Bernard Alvarez.
Alberto Alvarez.
Yes.
With back toward us? Yes. Back towards us. Yes. And next to Alberto Alvarez, do you know who that gentleman is, with the glasses hanging from his shirt? No, sir. Do you know who the coroner investigators were? No, sir. Did you talk to any of them? Not that I recall. This is going to be defense E, Judge, defense exhibit E. Thank you. Echo. I'll show you this part of the picture here. Mr. Muhammad, who are these two individuals? That is Derek Cleveland. If there's a good. Which one's Derek Cleveland? With the black suit on. All right. And that is Eric Muhammad. Eric Muhammad? Yes. Is related to? No, sir. Is he? The gray suit? Yes, sir. And how about here? Who are these two individuals? It's myself, and with the hat on, that's Detective Abdul. It's E, Echo. On the right side, on the right-hand side. Okay. And this is going to be defense C, Judge. Charlie. All right. Looking at this photo here, who are these individuals? It's myself, Detective Abdul, Michael Amir, and that is Alberto Alvarez. Alberto Alvarez? Yes. That's all I have, Judge. Thank you. Thank you. You can move that out. Thank you. You can turn on our lights, Mrs. Benson. Redirect by people. Mr. Walden.
Mr. Mohammed, to be clear, when you were interviewed on August 31st, 2009, were you alone in the room with just your attorney and the detectives?
Yes.
Okay. Alberto Alvarez wasn't with you?
No, sir.
Okay. Michael Muir Williams was not with you?
No, sir.
No other witness was with you?
No, sir.
Okay. And you were truthful on that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nurse Lee, she's in fact a nutritionist, and she deals with vitamins and nutritional supplements and holistic things such as that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And to your knowledge of what Nurse Lee does, that's the extent of what she does?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Walden, thank you. Mr. Chernoff, recross. If you need a moment. Please, sir. Sure. That's all we have, Judge. Thank you. Thank you. May Mr. Muhammad step down subject to recall, Mr. Walden?
Please, Your Honor.
Mr. Chernoff? Yes. Thank you. Mr. Muhammad, I want to thank you for your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Please don't discuss your testimony or the facts of the case with any other witness until we finish the trial. While you may step down and leave, you are to remain on call, and that means you're subject to recall until the end of the trial if necessary. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No problem.
May I see the attorney?
bookkeeping matter, Your Honor. People's 18 were the phone records of Fahim Mohammed. There was a typo. We've spoken with counsel, and the typo's been corrected, so we've agreed to supplement this exhibit with People's 18.
Is that all right with the defense? It is. All right. Here's the revised People's 18, taking into account a typo, ladies and gentlemen.
And the typo has been corrected while the witness was on the
I
stand.
remember when
Right.
that happened. All right. I think that's going to do it for this afternoon, unless any of you has a real lingering desire to hang around here any longer. Ladies and gentlemen, please bear with me as I deliver to you these all-important instructions at the end of every court day. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else, nor form or express any opinions about this case until it is submitted finally to you. Do not visit any scene or location that may have been referenced or mentioned or involved in the case. Don't perform any experiments or conduct on your own or through another person any independent investigation of the facts, the law, or the persons or topics or subjects mentioned or involved in this case. This means do not come into contact with any television or radio programs, newspaper or magazine articles, books, or the internet regarding any of these topics, subjects, or persons mentioned or involved in the case. Do not, on your own or through another person, access any internet websites, including but not limited to any search engine sites such as Google, Ask, or Bing, or social networking sites, including but not limited to MySpace or Facebook, regarding any topics, subjects, or persons mentioned or involved in the case. Do not access any blogs, read any messages, or post any messages on any internet website regarding any of these topics or subjects. Don't read or send any texts or tweets regarding any of these subjects, topics, or persons. Do not have any contact or communication whatsoever with the defendant, the attorneys, the witnesses, or the spectators. If anyone tries to talk to you about this case, tell the person you will not talk to that person about it and end the conversation. Do not allow anyone to hand you any business card or otherwise try to make arrangements for you to contact a person or an organization regarding any aspects of this case while you still are serving as a juror in this matter. We're going to ask that you rejoin us tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. You know the drill very well, and I continue to thank you for your patience and for your cooperation. And we'll ask you to just retire to the jury room for just a moment so that we can make your departure here a little easy. And we'll resume at 8:45 tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, thank you. Good evening.